The president misunderstood his moment in history, and he misunderstood what history was asking of him. History had dictated a sentence. It said, we are in the Great Recession. You have to worry about debt and deficit. Don't be about spending. You have to be about how do we control this fact that China owns our paper and Japan owns our paper. There was that.
Now, I like Peggy Noonan. I think she's a classy lady. But just look at Anthony Weiner's face as she's explaining herself. Priceless.
And you have to keep us safe.
Freeze! All right, let it roll.
In the era of weapons of mass destruction, nowhere in that sentence do we have the words fully insured, co-payee, insurance company. Do you know what I mean? It was fatally off point. I know that the president had talked about health care during the campaign, but it was only after his election and after his inauguration that the full implications of the financial moment we're in became clear and absorbed by the American people, who started losing their jobs.
So let's zoom in on Anthony. No, he is
you know,
just
I got to tell you, these are two of the most cliched hackney assessments of this thing. One, that this was not a good process. It went through 5 committees, the most open process I can imagine. Every single Republican amendment was considered. We all discussed it. We've discussed it on these shows. This is not a proud day for America. This is how legislation works. Secondly, this idea that we are not losing jobs because 20% of every dollar we spend goes to health care is just wrong. All of our money isn't going into payroll now, it's going into health care. When a car plant closes in Michigan and moves to Canada because it's $7.25 more an hour to employ someone in Michigan, tell those workers that health care is not related to the economy. We are anti-competitive because of this health care problem. And to not realize that ignores even the Republicans at that table at the White House. We had to solve this problem if we were going to fix the economy.
Health care is related. Education is related.
Sure.
So many things are related. But look, we are in a great recession. You got to focus on that. You don't go on to the secondary and tertiary issues. You go on to the main and essential issues.
You've got to hire
and
people.
You don't go
and you're
off
not
on this one-year tangent.
Would you stop one-year tangent? Healthcare is 20% of our economy, and it's a tangent. This is the problem. We've got to solve the problem, but let's do it some other time. For 8 years in this country, this problem was festering. Incomes were flat. Why? Because every single spare dollar an employer had to go into healthcare, not into wages. Our wages are down. Our economy is at a standstill because of healthcare. And we're fixing that problem because your team didn't do it.
This is not a perfect bill. I'm with Anthony on this bill. But the fact of the matter is that I disagree with Peggy fundamentally. Health insurance and jobs are absolutely coincident. And they're going to be people who, as of the day the president signs the bill, are not going to be eliminated from kicked off their health insurance anymore. That's a big deal. There's going to be people who are eligible for Medicaid who are working for a living but who don't have kids. That's a big deal. There are going to be states that get 90% match instead of 60 or 40% match. That's a big deal. So there are some things in this bill that make it worth passing. I would agree that it hadn't been handled very well. But I think the way to get this bill done would have been to do it the way George Bush would have done it, have it on his desk, run it through reconciliation, stop fiddling around with my good man in the Senate and all this nonsense, and get the damn thing done. The House passed